In this video we're going to take a look at the perimeter past paper questions, and obviously in perimeter there's going to be a wee bit of a mixture in terms of some of the calculations you're going to need to do. So question number 1, a hotel is having a swimming pool built. It is in the shape of a rectangle and 2 quarter circles as shown below. That's a wee diagram there. The swimming pool will have a safety rail fitted around its edge. There will be two 125cm wide gaps. The safety rail is sold in 3 metre lengths, and each 3 metre length costs £11.49. Calculate the minimum cost for the railing. So we've got to work out basically the perimeter of the shape, bear in mind those bullet points there, and then work out what the cost is. So looking at this shape here, I've obviously got 2 quarter circles and I've got some lengths that I'm missing. So I'm obviously missing this length up here at the top, but hopefully it's pretty clear to see what that's going to be. It's just going to be 36.5 metres as well, from here to the dotted lines. We have got this length here of 10 metres. Now this is actually the radius of these circles. So if this is 10 metres here, this length along here is also 10 metres, and the same goes for this length up here. And now what we're missing is the curved parts of this swimming pool. Alright, so we have 2 quarter circles and we want to find this curved length. That's circumference that we're going to look at, and the formula for circumference is pi d. Alright, c equals pi times d, the diameter. Now in this question we've got 2 quarter circles, so in effect we have got 1 half circle that we are wanting to work out the circumference of. So instead of doing 2 quarter circles, which you could find the circumference of 1 full circle divided by 4 and then double it. Let's just do it for a half circle. Alright, so the circumference, and let's do it for the half circle, is going to be pi times diameter, but then obviously I'm going to have to divide it by 2. In this question, the radius was given of 10, so the diameter is going to be 10 times 2, which is obviously 20 metres. Okay, so let's substitute those values in. This is a calculator one, so we're just going to use pi on the calculator. So pi times 20 divided by 2. And that is 31.415. Doesn't say anything about rounding in the question. I'm just going to round to 2 decimal places, so 31.42, and that's going to be metres. So that's us now got the length of these curved parts, and to find out the total perimeter then I'm just going to add everything up. So that's going to be the 31.42. It's going to be the 36.5 plus the other 36.5 on the other side. And it's going to be these 2 10-metre sections here. Just be very careful that you've definitely worked out the length all the way around the outside. Add those all up. It is calculator, so you might as well do this on the calculator. So that's 124.42 metres. Now let's take a look at a kind of bullet points bit. Those are almost our requirements. First one says that there will be 2 125cm gaps to allow access to the pool. Well, this 125cm, we are obviously talking about metres here, so let's convert that to metres, and it's going to be 1.25 metres. Okay, just divide by 100. And there's 2 of those, So from this, the actual length is going to be the 124.4, and I'm going to take away 2 times 1.25. So 124.4, and I'm taking off 2 lots of 1.25, and that's obviously just going to be 250. Okay, so that's going to be 1 to 1.9 meters. And what I'm going to now do is work out how many bits I'm going to need, because it's sold in 3 meter lengths. So let me work out how many 3 meters worth I'm going to need. I can do that by dividing by 3. I'm getting an answer of 40.63 dot dot dot. So that means that I'm going to then need 41 sections, we'll call it. Each of them being 3 meters, I need 41 of those. Obviously, you would round up in this case to the 41 because you're going to need a little bit extra. And then the cost is $11.49 for each of those sections. So the cost is going to be $11.49 times 41. Double check that was indeed the price. Yep, $11.41 times 41. So that's £471.09. Okay, hopefully I've not missed any wee points there. We've got our 2 gaps. It's sold in a 3 meter panels, and it's 3 meter. Each 3 meters costs $11.49. So hopefully we've included everything in there, and that's that question finished. Next question. So this is going to be another 2-parter video because there's quite a lot of work in these perimeter questions. Question 2, it says a ribbon has to be placed around the outside of the love heart cake shown below. The top of the cake is in the shape of an isosceles triangle with 2 identical semicircles. So the ribbon needs to be the length of the perimeter of the top of this cake, so it just has to be around that. And we need an extra 2.8 centimeters as well. So it needs to be the perimeter plus an extra 2.8 centimeters. Calculate the length of the ribbon needed. Take pi is 3.14, and it's telling us that because it's a paper one, so it's non-calc. So straight away I can fill in one of the values. If this is 34 over here, this must also be 34 because we're told it's an isosceles triangle, so this is also 34 centimeters. Alright, and what I've got is 2 half circles. If I've got 2 half circles, well, that's just the same as 1 whole circle, isn't it? So much easier to do that than having to work it out for one, then work it out for half a circle and then double it. Might as well just work it out for 1 full circle. So circumference formula, C equals pi d. What is the diameter of one of these circles? Well, if it's 40 from one end to the other, then the diameter is just going to be 20 for each of them. So I can put that in. So C equals 3.14, because that's what we're using, times 20. Remember, that means 3.14 times 2 times 10. Always good to do the times 10 bit first. So that means the decimal point will move. So it becomes 31.4 times that by 2. If you can do this in your head, then that's great. If not, set out a sum. But that's going to be 62.8, and it's centimetres. So that's the curved lengths here at the top, and I'm going to work out the total length needed. So the total length is going to be this curved part here, 62.8, plus the 34 on either side. And we're also told, remember, we need an extra 2.8 as well. So you could set this up as a sum, or you could just try and do this mentally, but I would definitely suggest to make sure you get it correct, just set out a sum for it. And adding all that up, you'll get 99.6. A couple of ways, you could add the 34 and the 34 together first, and then add the decimal numbers to it. That would maybe be a wee bit easier, but just make sure this is not where you're making a mistake. You've done all that work, make sure you get this correct. So that's us got our answer for that one. And question 3, this is the last question in this part. Joe buys a plot of land in the shape of a rectangle and a semicircle as shown below. He plans to put a fence around this plot of land. He employs Fence Direct to build it. They charge £15 per metre, including all the materials and labour. Calculate the cost of the fence, and we're taking pi is 3.14. So again, that's because this is a non-calc paper. So what I've got here, hopefully you can see, I have got my rectangle and I've got my semicircle. It tells us that in the question. So let's work out, what we're going to need to do is work out this curved length up here at the top. Hopefully you can see that this length over here is just 8 metres. So if I've got a rectangle, those two lengths match. Hopefully you can also see that the diameter of this semicircle has to be 20 metres. That 20 goes along there. So grab our circumference formula, C equals pi d. But remember, this is a semicircle, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide it by 2. Right, now you can do that at the end, or you can just put it in the formula. So C equals pi is 3.14 is what we're using. I'm timesing it by 20, and I'm then dividing it by 2. Now, hopefully what you can see here is actually I can do 20 divided by 2 first to make it a lot easier for me. So I could do 3.14 times 20 divided by 2. 20 divided by 2 is just 10. So that's going to become 3.14 times 10, and that's just going to be 31.4 metres. And that is for the half circle. And now all I need to do is add that onto the lengths that I've already got for the rectangle. So the total is going to be the 31.4 plus the 20 plus 8 plus 8. Okay, so you can do this either in a sum or just take it a step at a time. 31.4 plus 20, that's obviously going to be 51.4, and then I'm just adding on 8 and adding on another 8, which should be like adding on 16, so that's going to be 67.4 metres. But again, if you need to set out a sum, just do that, make sure you don't get this incorrect. So that's the total length. We're told that it's £15 per metre. So to work out the cost, it's going to be 67.4 times it by 15. A couple of ways you can do it. You could set out a sum, like so. You could do 67.4 times it by 15. Or you can kind of try and do it by splitting it up. So this would be the same as doing 67.4 times 10 plus 67.4 times 5. Could do it either way. Probably just easier to just set it out as a sum like this. Line up the decimal point. 5 times 4 is going to be 20. 5 times 7 is 35. Plus the 2 is 37. 5 times 6 is 30. So 33. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be timesing it by 10. So hopefully you can probably just see that pretty straightforward. Times that by 10. It's going to be 674 is what we're going to have. Add them both up together. Nice and easy like that. And then what you'll get is 1011 11. Now very quickly, just to make sure for the video's sake, I've got that correct. Yep. Okay, so that's the total cost there in pounds. So it could be done either or. Okay, maybe you find it easier to split it up like this than doing the sum. It's completely up to yourself. Alright, so that's going to be the end of part 1 of this video, and in part 2 we'll finish off the next 3 questions on perimeter.